on this episode of Geek Out Loud. Was I wrong? Was Andor a good show after all? We'll have to talk about that and more on this first the Geek Out Loud podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geek. Wait a minute, where am I at? There I am, and there you are. Wait a minute. There we are. I'll figure it out sooner or later. Hello, and if you're listening on audio, you have no idea what just happened. I was unaware of how to do things, and once again, been caught with two pairs of glasses on. Hello and welcome in, everyone. It's Geek Out Loud. I am Steve Glosson. So glad to have you along with us. We are live at YouTube. We're live at Rumble. We are live as live can be over at Mixler. And so good to have everyone along with us. We've got the Mixler Zoo Crew. We're just going to start calling you the streaming Zoo Crew, the live streaming Zoo Crew. Mark this day, ladies and gentlemen, where our official Geek Out Loud historian should mark this day, because this is the day that the Mixler Zoo Crew, former Twitter Zoo Crew, is now the live streaming Zoo Crew. Across all platforms, you're live streaming, and a special shout out to the Replay Zoo Crew. Those of you who are listening later on, we're so glad to have all of you along with us, and we appreciate every stinking single one of you. Just so happy to have you here. On this episode, we've got a good one for you. We've got several things coming up, and I've missed a whole deal of I'm going to learn how to do this just right. I'm going to learn how to do this. Okay, so here's the thing. I sat down. I've started making show notes. I've tried to be organized and have everything in order so that we do things just right on this show. I don't have a producer. I don't have anyone working for me. It's just little old me. So I'm trying to be as prepared as I can possibly be and get things going get on the right track kind of thing. And well, I did not. So what do we do when we get things wrong from the get-go? I call myself One Take Glosson, and One Take Glosson is who I am. So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you One Take Glosson doing a second take. All right, hold on real quick. Fish Music says, are we able to hear on the YouTube and the Rumble? That's the question right now, because Fish Music says he doesn't hear anything. So are we hearing me in the Mixler chat? Okay, I've got to go back. I may be One Take Glosson, but I'm Two Glasses Steve. So it's a wild Steve Glosson. I don't know if I'm in the wild. I'm here. Here I am, and there you are. Lisa Cypher in the chat hears you. You have a wife? That's like having a producer, right? Nebula's Nexus. She is she's the animal trainer. She's keeping the dog at bay. And so Lisa's there. So if Fish Music cannot hear it now, then that's on him, I guess. Oh, I can hear it now. Okay, great. So we're all here. We're all here now. All right, back to what I was saying. One Take Glosson. Whenever I mess up a take, I always go back. Look, there's no editing on this show, really. There'll be some editing for the Patreon folks who listen to the ad-free shows, but there's no real editing that takes place. And so basically, I'm still calling it one take, but we're going back to how it was. So everybody back to one. Everybody back to one. Are we good? Everyone back to one. Here we go. And ready, set, go. Stop. Listen, I muted the mic over on the live YouTube because I had to cough and I didn't want to have to turn. My laziness caused me to cough right into the mic. This is not starting. This is starting off horribly. This is starting off not too good. I'm still one take, Glosson. We're still going to do it in one take. But I coughed right into the microphone, and I am so sorry to those of you who are listening now, in the replay crew, and those who are on Mixler Live, and probably over on Rumble. Now that I think about it, no, because yeah, okay. So no one should have heard that. Oh, look, I am. All right, I'm live at Rumble for sure, and I've got 2 people watching it. Hey, Rumble people, good to have you. Go ahead and live chat with yourself. I think I'm probably one of the 2 that's watching because I'm just trying to keep up with what's going on all across the everything. So, anyway, hey everyone, glad to be here, and we're going to start over. We're not starting over. We're just going to start right. How about that? So, how did we do this? There we go. All right. So here we go. And everybody on 3. 1, 2, 3. On this episode of Geek Out Loud, we officially get started and going with the show, and it's going to be a great one. We've got all kinds of things to talk about, and we're going to talk about those things on your safe place to Geek Out. This is the Geek Out Loud podcast. Well, hello, welcome, and howdy, everybody, to Geek Out Loud. My name's Steve Glosson. So glad to be along with you here on your safe place to geek out. I am especially excited to just say hello and howdy. Welcome. Howdy. People don't really say howdy anymore, do they? How'd that all start? Where did howdy come from? Better yet, did it ever really start, or is this just something that was on like television one time and everybody said, I'm going to stick with it? Brian Kent in the Mixler chat says, cough, cough. So is howdy something that ever was anything or not? Because I'll tell you this, it really does. We now we say, how you doing? How do you do? It in a world where we shorten everything, we have lengthened howdy to how you doing. That's what we've done. We've gone from howdy to how you doing. And it's a howdy. When was the last time you heard someone in pop culture? Now listen, I'll say this. I do know people in real life. Now that I'm thinking about this, I have strong memories of people in my life just saying, and what they'll say is howdy, howdy, like that. Howdy, howdy. But you have to say, hey, first. You say, hey, how you doing? Howdy, howdy. That's okay. So I have heard that. But I will say this: when in pop culture was the last time you heard anyone say it? Woody from Toy Story, maybe. The shark from Toy Story 2, when Woody gets crammed down in the toy box and he comes up, he's like, I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Minnie Pearl. Do y'all know Minnie Pearl? Howdy. Naomi's got it. Heihaw. Yeah, Minnie Pearl. Minnie Pearl, for those of you, the uninitiated, was a staple on the old Heihaw show. She wore a straw flowery hat, and she always had the tag hanging on it. She was a comedian. Minnie Pearl was not her real name. The lady did the character Minnie Pearl, and so she'd get on stage and tell stories and that sort of thing. And very Southern culture, individual and everything. If it weren't for the weird YouTube gods, I would play a song by Ray Stevens called Southern Air, in which she makes an appearance, and she gives her traditional howdy. I can't really do it because I can't get that high, but she would tell funny stories and that sort of thing. And she appeared on Hee Haw. Now here's the question: do you remember Hee Haw? This to me is one of the things that blow my mind about the culture of America in I mean, apparently Hee Haw ran from 1969 all the way to 1993 and then had reruns on various networks after that. So in not from okay, here's the thing. I can see in a world of the 70s where Johnny Cash had a variety show, where Sonny and Cher had a variety show, where different people had different variety shows, and that was kind of a thing. Donnie and Marie. I could see a show like Hee Haw, which was very much Southern culture and all this stuff, and they would, they had all the funny redneck jokes, and they had a country and western guests. It was a very country and western show, and the thing is Southern country people can take the joke, and everyone that's not Southern country feels like they're making fun. So I guess it was popular. I don't understand how it survived till 1993, and apparently Garth Brooks was like on the last episode of the show. This blows my mind. Hee Haw was a thing, and it doesn't just blow my mind that Hee Haw was a thing. There it is, Hee Haw. Doesn't just blow my mind that Hee Haw was a thing. It blows my mind that it lasted like almost 25 years. How in the world? But yes, Hee Haw. Indeed. Oh, well, Tinton says, I say howdy a lot. Okay, all right. Howdy is still pretty common in Tennessee. Commander Bly says, I unironically say howdy every day. Hee Haw is still on RFD TV, which my grandparents, yeah. Hey, Cody, I'll tell you this. My father is an RFD TV junkie, and anytime we go to my parents' house, you can guarantee that RFD is going to come on. He particularly likes the Texas show, and there's something else. I remember watching Hee Haw as a little kid in the early 80s. It was a nationwide show because it was in the day when there was only like 3 channels. And so it was what was on. So everyone was watching it. Roy Clark and the other guy. Was it Buck Owens? Was the other guy Buck Owens? Anyhow, Roy Clark was an amazing guitarist and just banjo guy, everything. He did everything wonderfully. He's an amazing guitarist. Who was the other guy? It was Roy Clark and anyone? Bueller? Nobody? Anyway, they had the whole song, where, oh, where are you tonight? Why did you leave me? I was right, Buck Owens. Why did you leave me here all alone? Thank you, John Phillips, by the way, in the Mixler chat. I searched the world over and I thought, can I get in trouble for singing that? You met another and you were gone. Yeah. Classic Hee Haw stuff. In fact, I'll tell you this. I think, here's a theory for you. Now, do y'all remember you can't do that on television? I think you can't do that on television. And I guess it's just a staple of like variety sketch shows and everything. But I think they took a lot of their stuff. Remember they did the locker thing where they, hey, so-and-so, and they would stick their head out in lockers and tell jokes and everything. I think they got that from like the cornfield thing. Of course, I guess the Muppets had the dance floor stuff where they would yeah. I got distracted. I'm sorry. Anyhow, so okay, I was about to make a point. You can't do that on television. Was strongly influenced by Heihaw, but then I realized all these sketch shows kind of did the same thing. So there you go. I say all that to say hello. Good to have everybody with us. Glad to have you along with us. We had no problems getting the show started. There was nothing untoward happening in the mic, that sort of thing. And so there you go. Laugh In had a thing like that. That's true. Laugh In did have a thing like that. Suck it to me. But they also, so I guess, listen, I'm an idiot. What was the first sketch variety show? Anybody? What would have been the first one? Obviously, I remember Laugh In. All that came from Laugh In. Laugh In wasn't the first, was it? I don't know, because when you go back to now, wait a minute, was Laugh In? Okay, wait, Derailed Record? I don't think so. Derail Howdy. When was Laugh In? That's where, let me Google that for. Oh, where's that? I should have the where's that Google me. Let me Google that for you. Laugh In was early. Okay, Shaz Bazaar in the chat. Shaz Bazaar. Carol Burnett, she's another one, yes. My question is, when, I understand 60s, was it early 60s? Are we talking early 60s? Because here's the thing. I found out Heihaw started 1969. So we're saying Laugh In was pre-69, pre-1969? You know what? I'm just going to ask, hey, Siri. I'm just going to ask Siri. When did the show Laugh In air? Here we go. We're waiting to hear from Siri now. The American sketch comedy television program Rowan and Martin's Laugh In, often simply referred to as from 68 to 73. Now, I'll say this. Thank you, Siri. I'll say this. They might have started in 68, but they didn't have the run of Heihaw. So what does that tell you? Hey, Siri, when did the Carol Burnett show air? Now, this is a big one. Let's see what Siri says. Wow, 67 to 70. So maybe, okay, so it wasn't Laugh In. Carol Burnett had a sketch show going. So, and now the Carol Burnett show was funny. You're talking Harvey Korman and as someone who was alive back then, I say 1960. Ice Cold Ping, when you were not alive in 1969. That's Teresa Delgado Luther. Sonny and Cher. Hey, okay, was Sonny and Cher first? When did Sonny and Cher? I mean, Carol Burnett was out. It was 67 before Laugh In. Hey, Siri, when did the Sonny and Cher show air? That's not easy to say. Let's see what Siri says about this. 1971. So Sonny and Cher after Laugh In, after all this. So Southerners are fiercely loyal to me. I guess so. You know, I guess that's the case. They're fiercely loyal to media. Hey, we're fiercely loyal to media that caters to us. Listen, I did not mean to keep going on this stuff. My whole point is this, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us. On this episode, we're going to talk about Andor. I may have turned around on the whole dang thing. That Superman trailer that dropped. Hello. Does it get any better than that? I don't know. We'll talk about it. And we're going to continue looking back at the Fantastic Four as we prepare our hearts for Fantastic Four first steps. But first, ladies and gentlemen, I've told you and I've tried to warn society again and again and again. The animals hate us and they're trying to take over. They want to rule the world in an event we call the Animapocalypse. Animapocalypse time, ladies and gentlemen.
Everybody thinks they're cute. Everybody thinks they're nice. But behind their sleek facade, their blood's as cold as ice. They want to overthrow humanity with birds, moose, bears, and manatees. They want the world to be crushed in their grips. They want to start the Animapocalypse.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely tragic what we're bringing to the table today. The whole animal thing taking over the world is absolutely it's a horrible situation that's going on. We've got nothing that we can do, it seems, because you have people like the good people of Massachusetts who are acting a fool. Get this, and this story is Dateline April 30th of 2025. So 2 weeks ago, Rockport, Massachusetts. Rockport residents have a history of fighting off invaders, but not this time. During the War of 1812, townsfolk in the tiny fishing village hurled rocks at British soldiers using their stockings as slings. Now they're slinging trash bags and towels over the side mirrors of their cars to protect them from a destructive and determined pillated. Hey, how you say that word? Let's find out. I'm not sure how to say this word. Pronounce and pastes. Let's see. Pronounce this. Pileated. All right. Pileated. They're throwing trash bags and towels over the side mirrors of their cars to protect them from a destructive and determined pileated woodpecker. Over the past few weeks, the bird has broken more than 24 mirrors and at least one vehicle's side window, but residents are taking the violence in stride. Listen to what Ben Favillaro says. Everyone's having a good laugh about it. Nobody wants to harm the bird. He's always welcome back. Right there's your problem. Right there's the big issue, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know the problem, the biggest problem in the animal apocalypse? All you bleeding hearts who think they're fine. He has destroyed property, this pileated woodpecker. He's probably laughing at you. He's probably like, that was, by the way, good Woody woodpecker right there. I'm absolutely, I'm not going to try it again because that was a really good one. Y'all remember Woody Woodpecker? He had a great little laugh. Favillaro, who has lived in the neighborhood for nearly 4 decades, said he's seen the occasional woodpecker on the side of houses in years past, and he removed several trees last summer that were damaged beyond recovery. But the attacking of glass is a new phenomenon. The animal apocalypse. Initially, we just noticed that all the mirrors had been adjusted. It looked like maybe there's a child in the neighborhood that was going around pushing the mirrors down. But then his sister-in-law spotted the roughly 21-inch tall woodpecker on Favaro's truck pecking at the side mirror. Given their enormous size, pileated woodpeckers are plenty strong enough to break mirrors. But such behavior is, quote-unquote, definitely weird. You know who says that? Pamela Hunt, senior biologist for avian conservation at the New Hampshire Audubon. Lots of birds will be aggressive against reflections in mirrors, but I don't usually hear about woodpeckers. They don't usually peck at their opponents. They just kind of chase them around. They're not listen, this pileated woodpecker knows what he's doing. He is intentionally destroying human property. Look what she says. This is our mistake. She says the woodpecker might be, quote, a little stupid, unquote. Sorry, kids, for the bad word. And it's trying to defend its territory. But listen, Barbara Smith said she'd be fine with lots of little woodpeckers around the but she hopes they won't be as destructive. That's what they do. If they're not pecking your mirrors, they're going to be pecking your house. Woodpeckers have to do what woodpeckers do, she said. Good luck, woodpecker. And suddenly the word woodpecker has become really weird. Favarolo said the woodpecker and the media attention attracted has been a fun distraction from everything else going on in the world. This small town of Rockport that I live in is one of the safest communities around. I think this is probably one of the biggest crimes in years. It's kind of funny, but it's nice as well. It's not nice. Listen, they're going to take out the small areas. They're going to take out the little places that these places where things like this go on, and this is just a first volley. It's always a first volley. They're just testing their ground and testing their boundaries. And I don't know who this Barbara Smith lady is, but she needs to get her head screwed on right. I don't know. Like, I don't understand why anyone would say, "I want a lot of these little woodpeckers running there. I just want a lot of them." And dude, old Fred Farviallo or whatever his name was, Brad, was it? I forget. I've closed the thing. He's all like, "I had to take down a few trees." Well, this means they are an invasive, destructive thing that's happening. But you know what? They won't let you shoot them. Can't shoot a bird. Not appropriate. Not appropriate to shoot a bird, ladies and gentlemen. And that works on many different levels. But especially apparently with like the I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Especially with the woodpeckers, because apparently woodpeckers are like protected, I guess. Are woodpeckers protected? I'll tell you this, better a woodpecker than a steelpecker. Y'all remember that thing off of The Force Awakens? Woodpeckers protected? Question mark. Yes, woodpeckers are protected under federal law in the United States. They're classified as migratory non-game birds and are fully protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918. It's illegal to kill, injure, or disturb their nest without a permit from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Well, I got to tell you something. We better, the old U.S. FWS better get with it. So I don't know. Listen, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. These birds, man, you can't trust them. They'll, and especially if you got a weapon like the woodpecker does, man, their head just goes, not like the steelpecker that's just like a dink, dink, dink. The steelpecker in The Force Awakens still, you know, I was talking to someone the other day. I think it was Derek. I think we were on, was it Derek? Yeah, it was Derek. And I was talking about how there's not really anything in pop culture that makes me upset anymore. And he's like, "Well, how'd you like The Force Awakens?" Or maybe someone, I forget who said that. But anyhow, no, how'd you like The Last Jedi? And then it was like, you know what? The truth of the matter is, when it comes to the sequel Star Wars, I think the thing that makes me the most angry about all the sequel trilogy is the steelpecker. It just absolutely is everything wrong with modern day movie making. I said it. There it is. I made it. And this woodpecker thing is everything that's wrong with humanity and the animal apocalypse. So now imagine a steelpecker using a shaky cam. Steve would go to war. I would. Barbara Smith is 6 woodpeckers standing on each other's shoulders wearing a trench coat. I have friends everywhere. That's right. And we'll start a rebellion if we have to. How about never say Piated again? The woodpecker is going to have to change its name. Listen, I think the woodpecker is not so much that. Now, I need to address this thing. Having Superman and Crypto over my shoulder, right up there, that's not Superman and Crypto. That's Superman and Super Grover. So it's one of my favorite prints of anything I've ever gotten or ever bought for myself, because I love Grover and I enjoy Superman. So speaking of which, that's coming up later on. We're going to talk that Superman deal. So I'm 3D. Okay. All right. So yeah, they're untouchable. That's exactly why they're showing out, because they're untouchable. Look up woodpecker tongue. I don't think I want to do that. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to say that we can't be playing these games with the woodpeckers. This is not how we go. So, but I'll tell you what we are going to do. We're going to take a break real quick and play some ads. When we come back, we're going to get into Andor, and I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to give my real feelings on the show, and share what I really think about everything that went down and everything that went on. And I do want to say this as well, that the ads that you're about to hear are actual ads. They're real. They're true. So these aren't joke ads. Even though I hope that they may entertain you a little bit. We got ads. Yes, we do. We got ads. How about you? So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to get into Andor. So stick around. Don't leave us. It's out now. We're excited to welcome a new sponsor to the mix today, Stand Shoes. Stand Plus shoes are designed for anyone on their feet all day or recovering after a workout, offering slip-resistant soles, fluid-resistant shoes, and cloud-like comfort. Backed by innovation and lab-tested comfort that keep you standing tall. Enjoy an exclusive discount with my promo code GEEKOUT at standoutshoes.com. Now, GQ calls Standout Shoes the all-day recovery shoes for your feet. Great for people who are on their feet all day long or who just need comfort after a long walk or run. As we said, liquid-resistant, slip-resistant, and comfortable. They're backed by over 1,200 customer reviews and their comfort guarantee. Try Stand Shoes for 30 days, and if you're not completely satisfied with them, send them back or exchange them free of charge. Try Stand Shoes today and get a 15% discount using my exclusive promo code GEEKOUT, all one word. That's standshoes.com, promo code GEEKOUT. We're excited to welcome a new... If you enjoy the fun of Geek Out Loud and you're in a position to support the show, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/geekoutloud. Patreon supporters get exclusive shows, including lost episodes of The Big Honkin' Show, if we find them, The Movie Show with Steve and Dave, Hulk Out Loud with Shaz Bazaar, Petra Means Rock Out Loud, the Forceology course with Professors Glosson and Shaz, the Hot Tub Geek Machine, and now ad-free episodes of Geek Out Loud. Also, enjoy exclusive access to the Geek Out Loud Discord, which is a thing I forgot, and it's a thing, so I haven't checked it out in weeks, probably months. But you can get access if you enjoy laughing and good discussions about all the things we enjoy. Then the Geek Out Loud Patreon experience is for you. Thanks to all of you who have supported in the past, are supporting now, or even if you're just thinking about it. It means the world to me, and I look forward to seeing you there. Here's a clip from a recent episode, well, not so recent, over on Patreon. Listen, he's kicked up. He's waking up.
Uh-oh.
He's waking up.
Oh, that's a nice shot of the mountain there.
Yeah. I believe that's a fake mountain.
Yes, I'm sure.
There's Godzilla. Look
and this
below.
is the stuff. This is the stuff they used early in the movie when we were worried about that guy jumping over the rail.
Yes, here we go. Listen, we're about to see an awesome move by King Kong here. I just want you to know, because this is it now. This is the fight. This is what we've been waiting for. Godzilla's not running away. I mean, King Kong's not running away this time.
He's ready.
They got to let that monkey go. Drop the monkey. There we go.
Monkey.
Now watch. Here we go. He's coming down.
Oh, my gosh.
Boom.
Oh,
and Godzilla goes
good
tumbling.
grief.
Godzilla is down. That's right. Film it, buddy. Kong's up. Kong's up. He's going up the hill again. It's over, Godzilla. I have the high ground. You are my brother, Godzilla.
I loved you.
He has the high ground. Here comes Godzilla. You underestimate my power. And now the big brain King Kong, it looks like he's going back to the well for something that didn't work last time, maybe? Is he? Oh, I thought he was looking for a rock.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, he's coming
that
around.
Look bad there with the arms.
Where'd Kong go? Oh, Kong is using his big brain.
Yeah.
Uses his big brain to hide from Godzilla. Little pea brain Godzilla now looking around. Godzilla's confused as to what's going on. Marco. Polo.
Congo.
Yeah. Kong now. Watching that tail. He's got him by the tail. I've got a lizard by the tail. Yeah, and Kong continuing to go back to the tail. Godzilla trying to get away from him, Dave, trying to take a powder. Godzilla doesn't want any of Kong this time.
You don't want any part of that.
Kong's figured out if you don't get in front of him, he can't use that breath on you. The tail's too much. The tail's too much for Kong. The arm flapping, that can only signal one thing. Oh, right in the face with a rock.
Ow!
He's going to do it again, but not this time.
Oh, man.
Godzilla. Oh, Kong unfazed. Now it's on. Atomic breath. But Godzilla, King Kong has seen that before, Dave. He hates the smell of burnt hair. Here we go. Collar elbow tie up.
Yeah.
And
looks like Kong going for a choke there. Can't quite get it.
Godzilla trying to get the underhand, trying to get the control. Well, maybe that was funny and possibly informative. Or or thought-provoking, maybe. Check out patreon.com/geekoutloud to support the show.
Geek out loud. Geek out loud. Geek out loud. Geek out loud. Geek out loud.
We're back here on Geek Out Loud. Steve Ralston, glad to be along with you as we continue on your safe place to geek out. I got to tell you, StreamYard, you need a better fader on your media stuff. We need to be able to fade that mess. So get on that, developers. And that'd be great for me. I don't know if anyone else would use it, but I sure would. So glad to have you along with us. As promised, we need to talk a little bit about the Andor season 2 series finale, if you will. It was 3 episodes this past Tuesday night. It aired. Look, I have been, I'm not going to say I've been overly critical of the show, but I have been critical of the show. I have been very much someone who I maintain that this did not feel like Star Wars for the large majority of the show. It was particularly in the first season and many episodes of the show felt like someone had a science fiction show that they decided to slap Star Wars on. And so brought in some different Star Wars elements and just said, hey, this is a Star Wars thing. I'm not going to relitigate the entire show. I will say this, and I want to give a shout out to Jason and Jimmy Mack over at the Rebel Force Radio, because listening, I don't listen to them until I have a chance to talk about it and get my thoughts out. And again, we're not getting detailed thoughts out about this show. I'm just kind of hitting the high points of what I thought of the show and different things about it. Those guys, with their detailed breakdowns of these episodes, going back and listening to them really helped me put these shows in perspective. And again, I come back to my issue with any properties that Lucasfilm has put out with Star Wars in recent years has been as much about maybe some of the quality of things as much as it is the people on either side of liking or disliking them. You know, you can't have a conversation. You just can't talk about it. You know, you can't have a difference of opinion with people, but that's neither here nor there. What we got in these last 3 episodes of Andor is really kind of the pacing and the intensity and the drama of the show that I wish we'd had all along. Now, I know you're building up to the big epic conclusion and everything. Here's a little secret for you. The conclusion to Andor is Rogue One. And so as we build up to this, you know, people are like, well, it's a slow burn. You got to give it the slow burn. You know, I remembered something, and I saw a video of it. The whole Mon Mothma gave her speech in the Senate last week when Andor got her out of the Senate and everything. There was a whole episode of Rebels where Mon Mothma calls basically all the rebels to come together to fight together. And it's like, now, wait a minute. Are we now doing canon stuff and doing, you know, canon-y type things? Is that the deal? You know, are we undoing canon with this show? Or is there a way to squeeze it? I don't remember that episode of Rebels enough to know if there's a way to squeeze it all in together. So I'd have to check it out. But you know what? I'll tell you this. The thing is, this show had such a slow pace that I don't blame anyone who dipped out. And the show broke, and this is where people think it's a good thing. It broke so many rules of Star Wars. By the way, I forgot to tell you, if time permits, on this episode, at the end of the episode, we will be opening a Star Wars by the way. We'll be opening this Star Wars that we didn't get to last week. This is the Rebel Soldier from Echo Base Battle Gear. Now, Hector Spinoza and Damian Sandow, or whatever his name is, they got their names put under theirs. This guy just gets Rebel Soldier, Echo Base Battle Gear. His name is not Echo Base Battle Gear. He has battle gear from Echo Base. Anyway, so in these whole 2 seasons move very slowly to get. The other thing, and I guess is the other thing. The other thing is I feel like they wanted to get to this point. Now, there are things that happened, with these different characters. Obviously, last week we saw Serial die, shot in the head, and we saw Serial died and Dedra cried. And then this week that old man committed, suicide. It was, golly, it was intense. But I'll say this: here's my criticism, okay, of the show as a whole and of these last 3 episodes. Editing. I think a lot of it comes down to editing. Editing is one of the issues with this show. And I'll give you an example. When Luthen dies, by the way, spoiler alert for Cassian, for Andor, when Luthen dies, they lingered on his body for way too long. And it wasn't done in such a way. I don't want to get an argument about this. And so understand, these are all my opinions. Are they trying to make you feel unsettled that he's there? Are they trying to give you a last few minutes with Luthen? My thing is, if you want us to have the emotion of that moment, then there needed to be some music that played that was a little bit emotional. Instead, it was just kind of silent, or it was just that weird under music playing. And we just lingered there. Too long, like probably 3 or 4 beats too long. And that's kind of the whole show for me. There are things that they just let go on too long, where literally they could have cut out minutes of the series as a whole. The other criticism I have is, last week you had the Saul doing drugs with, was it Will, I guess, was doing drugs with Saul. Look, I'm learning some of their names. Not doing drugs, but huffing gas. That went nowhere. I mean, is it just, well, this is why Saul has to have a breather, or this, what is he breathing? If that's all that is, we don't need that. That's the kind of detail in Star Wars that we don't need, because then it really takes it from, man, this guy's been fighting a battle and he's just beat to crap because of the battles he's been fighting, to, oh, he's just a weird druggie, and I think that I don't want to, obviously we don't want to glorify the characters. I don't know. How do I say this? Saul's not a great character. He's not a great person. I get that. He's cray cray. I get that. But there was something honorable about him, that when we meet him in the Clone Wars and moving through, he was fighting for the right side. And so to just turn this guy into a weird gas huffing addict is just strange to me. And it never really paid off in any significant way. Like, the whole payoff was that kid, and we never see him huffing gas again. So there's no payoff all the way around. It was good to have K2SO involved and that sort of thing. And so that added a whole new dynamic, I think, that the show needed overall. And so it was good to have him on board. But there's my biggest criticisms, without getting into all this isn't Star Wars mess. When it comes to these last 3 episodes, look, the first one with Clea, trying to tie up the loose end that was Luthen of all things, and her situation on Coruscant, man, that was good. It was good to see her in action. It was good. It was intense. It was, kind of edge of your seat, because what is happening to Luthen, and I don't know that we're expecting him to live, and Luthen didn't expect to live, but you don't really know about Clea, and Clea is someone who I really came to appreciate and like, in this, and they did a great job of giving us their backstory, without, and here's the thing, They did it without taking too long. In season 1, their backstory would have been like through flashbacks over 5 episodes. And so so there's that. And but the fact that they kind of had to condense it and show it, you got all the information you needed about him. You understood why they worked together. You understood why he was special to her. You understood why she was loyal to him. We understood all of that based on the little flashbacks we got, and we saw where he came from, and the whole make it stop stuff. Like his stance against the Empire is born out of seeing the brutality of the Empire. And he refuses to allow that to continue to go on. And that and what he had to put up, what he went through, the trauma that he experienced is the reason he's so intense about getting this thing done and getting this thing accomplished. I'm torn on how I feel about Dedra's fate. I never liked her as a character. I never liked her person, but at the same time, you kind of hate to see her end up the way, like that was just, it was bleak, and so maybe you do come to kind of like her a little bit, because I think we're all surprised because of what we saw at the end of I say we all, like everyone is sharing about that. I think I was surprised. I never expected her to go full rebellion, but I also I did expect her though to kind of soften a little bit based on her reaction to during the Gorman massacre, or after the Gorman massacre in last week's episodes. To see her just kind of lose control, the losing control kind of came out of nowhere. And maybe this is where it's like, well, if they'd gone for 5 seasons, we just seen it. Well, no, if they'd have just kind of written a little more tightly, and showed, because she had it all together, even going to Gorman, like she had it all together, but then suddenly now it's all falling apart. Lonnie, that dude Lonnie, I guess is his name, that was the inside man that Luthen kills. That's almost a call forward, a foreshadowing of what Cassin's going to do to that dude on caffeine. The planet caffeine, not the substance. And it just seems weird. I did feel bad for Dedra at the end. She had here's the thing about her. As evil as she was, she had a cause, and then she becomes the scapegoat. I'm uncomfortable with how easily her uniform choked her for too long. Well, cereal choked her for too long. It did have to come to an end somehow. You're right. It had to come to an end somehow. I think I'd have rather seen her die. I think I would have rather seen her die in a chase or something like that. So when it comes to her thing, what I'm saying is I'm uncomfortable with just how easily they went in this show with, like cereal choked her. The whole finger on the top of her head that Krennic did is just, that just felt over the top, like it was a weird choice. And it was a choice that felt over the top. And I think that's another one of my issues that I've had with the show is, there's a trend in television these days. How uncomfortable can we make the audience? How visceral can we film this stuff to make things uncomfortable? And so that kind of, I didn't like it. I don't, Star Wars isn't meant to make you feel uncomfortable. Star Wars is meant to entertain, and it can make you think if you want to. There's just a lot of little things. I'm going back to criticism. I'm sorry. There's a lot of little things I could have done a little bit differently that I think would have made it feel more like Star Wars. And I think for the people like me, who had trouble receiving it, it would have been more well received from the get-go. The whole mission to rescue Clea, again, it was intense. It was fun. And I honestly, I don't know that I can find anything wrong with that episode. I really, that you have the tension between Cassian and the Rebel Council. You have all this stuff that's going on. you see that they're still not fully an alliance yet. You know, that's yet to come, and that's what will happen in Rogue One. And I think, you know, I really did. It was a great episode, and it was great because the tension, I think, built just right, and it became the right kind of firefight. It became the right, you know, and it was good stuff. I really enjoyed that. And then we get back to Yavin, and there's the whole struggle over, is this true? Is the information true? Is it not true? Can we trust it because of who it came from? You know, suddenly they're not trusting Luthen, but it's good to see Mon Mothma step up for Luthen. I'm getting my episodes out of order, I know. It just, I don't understand why the old man killed himself. Like, I don't understand that. I don't know his name. Was he going to be held responsible? Was he going to be a scapegoat for what happened with Dedra and that sort of thing? Lisa Cyber says, I'm surprised by how many characters were alive at the end of the series. I don't know that I'm that surprised by that. I think I'm more surprised that they didn't use an opportunity to introduce Leia, you know, some way. And maybe that's that whole recasting thing that they refuse to do unless they're doing a child Leia, you know, because Leia is 19 in A New Hope, and she's already in the Senate, working alongside her father, I guess, at that point, you know, because when Vader gets on the ship and she's like, the Imperial Senate will not sit still for this. When they hear that you've earned a diplomatic mission, don't be so surprised. You know, don't act so surprised, Your Highness. You weren't on any mercy mission this time. Several transmissions were beamed from the ship, but I want to know what happened to those plans. I don't know what you're talking about. You are part of the Rebel Alliance and a traitor. Take her away. You know, so she's already working alongside her father in the Senate and everything. And I think they missed an opportunity to show her. But then again, if you do that, obviously, I guess, you know, then you have these legacy characters that are suddenly take away from everything else that's on screen. But it does beg the question, where was she? You know, she should have been in the Senate at that point in time. So overall, the end, you know, as he that's because they do all die in Rogue One. That's right. They all die in Rogue One. The next Jared says the next series is called Star Wars Rebel Base. It's all about the setup on the base on Hoth. That's right. And we finally get to see those Wampas in action and everything. Cereal and caffeine goes great with the City Planet croissant. That's true. So the ending was kind of powerful. The ending was kind of, not powerful is the wrong word. The ending was a good gut punch. Because he tells the one lady, not Bryce Dallas Howard, and not is she Mon Mothma's cousin? Anyhow, he tells her, you know, maybe I'll find her when all this is over, talking about Bix. And, you know, watching that, he's not going to get to. And, you know, as he's moving, as he's going through the base there, as he's going, that there are people who are hopeful to see him again, and he'll see them because he's going to be back and forth to Yavin, but he's not going to see Bix. And he's stepping into the mission to go to Kafrene and meet up with what's his face to shoot him. But he's going to go get that information, and that's going to kick off the thing that's going to lead to his ultimate demise as they go and steal the plans to the Death Star. And so there's a little bit of a gut punch there, but you're also left with all that hope, you know, and those sorts of things. I think that it's good. And then if you watch the credits and you get kind of halfway through the credits or toward the end of the credits, it kicks into the John Williams Star Wars credits theme. And so that was pretty cool. And I mean, it ended the way it needed to end, I think. And then you have that one bit of hope with Bix on that wheat planet, and she's got a baby. And that baby is obviously his. Now, this is something that's interesting as well, Jared. Confused about the timing on the ending. He's on Kafrene for a year. The show, let's see, the episode starts 1 year BBY. That's before the Battle of Yavin. You have the death of Luthen and everything, which takes place over the course of a day or so. We know a few days pass because there's night and day on Yavin and Coruscant. I think by the time he's actually going to Kafrene, I don't know. That's an interesting thing because I kind of thought the same thing. And so that then begs the question, how much time passes in Rogue One? You know, because we obviously it opens with the flashback. But then we see him on Kafrene. He goes back to Yavin. He has to go find Jin, or maybe listen, I'll tell you this. I watched the first several minutes of Rogue One the other night after Andor was over. That movie, I thought, wow, this movie is going to move slow too. That movie, it breaks your neck. It moves so fast. After you watch Andor, you realize how fast those movies move. So he gets the information on caffeine. He goes and finds Jen and rescues her and K2SO. So he had to get a team up to do that. They get back to Yavin. Then there's the whole mission to Edu or Jeddah. They're at Jeddah, and are they there at night? No, they're just there for a day. And then there's the whole mission to Edu. And then once the mission to Edu is over, then it's head to Scarif. I think that maybe he went and saw Bix before he went to caffeine. Yeah, it's interesting because Bix seen after that, I believe, said the baby would make the baby 2. I think that baby was about 1. I mean, that baby was big. Like if you look, its head is kind of big. It's up near her, and its feet are way down by her waist. So that's a baby that's probably, he doesn't look only a couple of months old. It's at least a year. That child's at least, I would say at least 12 months old. So 2 hours and 13 minutes pass in Rogue One, and you're right there at the thing. But then you also have the question of how much time passes in Star Wars. We obviously meet up with the princess. They're running. How much time passes? They're running. They're running away. When does Vader and them? When does the Empire catch up with the Rebel blockade runner, Tantive 4? And when that log had a child. By the way, everybody, new tone. Scott Rifen said it best. It's like a tone poem from bad lip reading. Given time, we may watch that as well. So, yeah. I'm getting distracted. Sorry, the baby would be 1 year, but I felt like it was a few months. I'll have to take another look. You're good, Jared. Listen, here's the thing. Who knows how old that baby is? But obviously the baby is Cassian's. I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to understand is the baby belongs to Cassian. And so he has a heritage now, he can pass it on. I was glad to see the droid, whatever his droid's name is. It was always worried about Cassian. They're playing around with another droid. That was nice to see, because Lord, they had Steve Southern popped out. Vader and them. Yeah, Vader and them were fine. Listen. All right. Shall we? Let's try. This is completely off the dome. Is that something people still say? I guess you say that when you're rapping, not when you're about to try this. Let's try to tell the story of Star Wars in a Southern way. Just the first movie, all right? I ain't even going to put on a fake Southern accent. I'm just going to lean harder into mine, but the one that I already have. So what happened is there's a war going on. It's a civil war in the galaxy, and I guess you got the North Empire and the Southern Rebellion, and the oppression of the North and all that stuff. And Darth Vader and them are chasing after Princess Leia and her ship, the Tantive 4. On that ship is C-3PO and R2-D2, and Leia has the plans to it's a big honking space station called the Death Star, and it can blow planets up. And so Leia, whatever her name is, she's going to give it to 3PO and R2 and plans. R2 really, because 3PO, you can't trust him. He talks too much. He just run that mouth. And they escape down to this planet called Tatooine, and Tatooine is desert. There ain't no water there. They're farmers, but they ain't farmers like we farm. They're farmers. Apparently, they get water out of the air, and they farm the water, and that's where 3PO and R2 go, and they get picked up by these little guys, Jawas. Now, Jawas are basically dumpster divers. They find trash, and they put it in their big old truck. I mean, that thing's got to be a 4-wheel drive. Lord, I'd love to have one of them things riding through the swamp. Whoo, you couldn't get bogged down to save your life in one of them things. And anyway, they get picked up by them junk traders, that them dumpster diver Jawas, and they go to sell them to Luke Skywalker, who's living with his aunt and uncle, Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru. Aunt Beru now tells Luke, be sure he gets a droid that speaks the right language, and C-3PO just happens to be that droid. And so through a whole thing with another red droid, they get, which Kenner has told us is R5D4. So you got this whole thing with R5D4 blowing up, and R2 goes along with C-3PO and Luke, and then they get the message, and she's like, it's Leia giving a message that he finds in R2D2, and she says, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Well, Luke is highly attracted to her. Come to find out, now, spoiler alert, they're brother and sister. They must be from Alabama. And so anyways, Luke gets curious, and R2 goes away, runs away to go find this man. Luke says, I don't know Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so after dinner, after supper, they're going to go out and find him, but it's too dark. You got the sand people out there. The sand people are basically you folks that you don't want to mess with at night. It's basically like Mama always said, nothing good ever happens after midnight. And if you get out there in the Dune Sea after midnight, it ain't good. Anyway, they go out and they run into some sand people anyway. This is like running into those people that, like, you don't touch their land, you don't go near their land, you stay away from it, or they will, mess you up. And that's what they do. Well, here comes Ben Kenobi. He scares off these sand people, and he helps Luke and takes Luke back to his place. In the meantime, he finds out, hey, I am Obi-Wan Kenobi. I go by Ben because, hey, that's what I go by now. I go by Ben. It's easier for people to say than Obi-Wan. Long story short, they end up, because Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, they get killed. Stormtroopers kill them, and Luke and them, they go to the spaceport where they meet Han Solo and Chewbacca. They all get away. Now Han Solo, he's got he's in trouble because Jabba the Hutt wants money from him. That don't really come into play after the cantina much until you get to like the Empire Strikes Back. But we're not going to talk about that today. Long story short, they're going to take them to Alderaan, but meanwhile, Alderaan done got blown up because the Death Star, the aforementioned big honking space station, blew up Alderaan. That was Leia's planet. A lot of people died that day. And then, lo and behold, here comes the Millennium Falcon. They're riding up on the Death Star because the Death Star is where Alderaan used to be. So they get sucked in, by that tractor beam. I don't know why they call it a tractor beam, because you never see one, You never see a tractor go out there and hook up to them and pull them in. Anyways, they're on that station, and Ben, says, hey, I'm going to go shut down this tractor beam. And Luke and Han say, well, we're going to go save the princess. And R2-D2 and C-3PO say, we're going to sit right here. That's what we're going to do. So anyways, here's the thing. They go and they rescue the princess. They end up in the big trash compactor. And once they get out of that, now they're running from all these stormtroopers all over the place. Ben has shut down the tractor beam. To his credit, old Ben did his job. But then he runs up on Darth Vader. And so what are they going to do? They're going to fight because they don't like each other from way back. Because Darth Vader, according to Ben, killed Anakin Skywalker, who was Ben's friend and a great pilot and a good friend. He was a Jedi Knight. He was a great pilot and a good friend. That's what Ben Kenobi said. Well, wouldn't you know it, about the time that Darth Vader and Ben are fighting, here comes all the other kids, the rest of the gang coming out to the Millennium Falcon. And Ben sees it, and Ben's just like, all right, I'm done. Go ahead and cut me down. And that's what Vader does. He cuts him down. Well, Luke don't like that none. So he hollers, no. And, that gets everyone turned on him. Well, they get away. Long story short, they get away. While they're getting away, they fight some of them TIE fighters. They blow them all up. They get away. But there's a tracking device, not to be confused with a tractor beam, on the Millennium Falcon. And it tracks him all the way to the planet whereupon the rebel base is. Good night. Then they have this big meeting, and they're like, y'all, there's a weakness. There's a little hole on the Death Star. It's an exhaust port. And if you throw your bombs down that thing, proton torpedoes, because you can't use lasers because it's ray shielded. Now, Ray is this dude from the backwoods, and his shields are good. His shields, you can't just get anything past Ray's shields. You got to have the good stuff. In this case, proton torpedoes. So proton torpedoes fire, so basically what you got, they got this big honking space station. You got these little bitty fighter planes, X-wings, and there's some Y-wings there, and they're going to run down this trench. I don't know why they went into the trench so far away from the exhaust hole. Now that's something no one's ever explained to me. No one's ever explained to me, hey, old bearded man, his name is Dodonna. Dodonna says you're required to maneuver down this trench. Well, why? Why not get closer to that exhaust hole? Hey, how about this? I don't know a lot. I'm not an educated man, but in space, not only can nobody hear you scream, but you can go in different axes. My point is this. They could have come straight down at that exhaust port. Didn't need to. Why did they have to maneuver down a trench? I don't mean to tear apart Star Wars because I love it. And I understand that it's a dramatic storytelling thing. Now, here's the truth. They're not necessarily in space because they bounce through the magnetic field. Hold tight. So maybe there's issues with gravity and a little bit of atmosphere that the big honking space station does indeed have around it. I don't know. My point is this, though. The Force is with Luke Skywalker. Everybody but Luke gets blowed up by the TIE fighters and Darth Vader. But Luke makes a shot. After Han Solo comes back, see, Han had left him. See, you got to go back to what had happened on Yavin. After they met and Dodonna said, you have to maneuver down this trench, Han was going to leave with his reward for saving the Princess Leia because he was going to go pay off Jabba the Hutt. Because he owed Jabba some money, because he dumped a shipment that he was smuggling for Jabba way back when. You have to kind of go all the way back to the cantina, but we don't have time to do that right now. So when you maneuver down that trench and Darth Vader's behind you, he blows up R2-D2 and he says, I have you now. I'm going to put a whooping on you, Luke Skywalker. Well, out of nowhere, here comes Han. And you know what Han says when he shows up? Han says, Yeehaw. Now, if that ain't Southern, I don't know what is. That's as Southern as a howdy. Callback right there. Boom. Anyway, the whole thing blows up. It's pretty. It is a pretty explosion when it blows up. And Darth Vader is just sent spinning off into space. But Luke did it because he used the Force, because old Ben told him to in his head. And then they celebrate. Chewie don't get a medal. But that's fine. He's okay. He just makes everybody clap. And that's the end of the movie. That's where we end. Our heroes win the day. It's a fun time. So just want to say hello. So Darth Vader can't have Luke Skywalker because Padme already had him years ago. That's a funny joke, Ken Davis. That's funny. Hey there, Busted Jib. I'm now stuck in a Southern accent. I can't get out. I'm caught in an accent. I don't get copywritten. I can't walk out. Do you get copyright? Now, listen, I want to say this. I want to give a shout out to Fred Walsh over on the X. And he sent me a link to a song that he made for the Geek Out Loud, but it would not let me download it. And I've asked him to download it himself and send it to me. So I'm going to try and see if it has come about. Nope. Okay. Well, here's what's going to happen now. Let me wrap up my thoughts on Andor. Because we were talking about the timeline and everything, and I got distracted as always. Overall, it ended well, and I don't know if that's enough to say the show was good, but I will say this: that I appreciate, as I watched these final 3 episodes, I think I appreciated what they were trying to do with this show. And what I realized is that Star Wars can be a little more grown up, but I think when we take things to a grown up place with anything, it's like we always overshoot it. We want to make it too violent, too gritty, too vulgar, all these different things. And I don't think you have to do that. I think the themes and the intensity of the plot was enough to really be good Star Wars with a little bit more editing and just a little bit, just some tighter storytelling in some places, but in the end, like I enjoyed, can I say enjoyed? I don't know if I want to say enjoyed. I appreciated the finale. I appreciated what it was and how it all played out. So yeah. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. These are not real ads. These are the fun ads that you all know and love. And when we come back, we're going to break down that Superman trailer. It does. Listen, I'm looking at the clock right now. I don't know that we got time to open a Star War later on, but we'll do our best. So hang in there with us, and we will be after these messages. In the words of the old ABC interstitial, we'll be right back. Boop. So. Yeah, that's the
Frustrated by looking for a new pet for the family? That's why you should get your kids the all-new Silky Buddy. A pet, a chicken, and your buddy too.
They are furry chickens.
Wait, is this magic? A chicken with fur? Are you sure?
Fuzzy Ewok chicken.
Well, are they safe for kids?
They're renowned for their calm, friendly temperament. They do well in confinement and interact very well with children.
Sounds like it'll be perfect for the park, a day at the beach, or even show and tell at school.
You need one.
Order your Silky Buddy today for $29.95 plus $7.95 shipping and handling, 30-day money-back guarantee. Coming soon from the makers of Silky Buddy.
Silky Dome sparkling jewelry.
Frustrated by looking for a new pet for the family? Whether you need to travel for a necessity or just to enjoy getting away, taking a trip has never been more affordable. For our 425 rooms to mark our 40th anniversary of being named the best hotel in the area, the Grand is locked in on a new low rate. Our vintage hotel with the same furniture and decorations from the 70s, with our free continental breakfast and accompanied oversized swimming pool and hot tub. We're the home of the famous floating sausage. We know you'll love it. Just listen to these satisfied customers.
So romantic with the smell of the bacon, the eggs, and the chlorine.
I love America. Hey, listen, I'm staying at the Grand. They've got a great breakfast buffet. You can sit right there in the hot tub and have your breakfast and listen to some good quality music.
This holiday season, if you're looking for a 1972 look, feel, and price, look no further than the Grand.
Welcome back to Speak Out Loud, and man, oh man. May 14th marked two things. Number one, podcasting partner for life, Derek Russell's birthday, and Warner Brothers released to the public a brand new trailer for the upcoming film Superman. And I call it a film unashamedly and happily to do so. It is indeed a film that we are talking about here. And we're going to watch it. I don't know what this is going to do. It's YouTube gets weird. They'll copyright trailers, even though here I am talking about it. Maybe if I make myself bigger and that smaller, I don't know. But we're going to look at this thing and take a look and talk about it. As we'll probably talk over it. We'll stop it and go because I've seen it, and hopefully you've seen it. It's Superman. It's the official trailer. Here we go. I like the clean DC.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah.
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
Sure.
I don't know why I've got captions on.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Now, right there, ladies and gentlemen, I want to. I know that he's being cute and funny, and I know they've got this whole thing going, this dynamic betwixt the two of them, you know. But to hear him in his Superman persona, Miss Lane, I know that he's just responding to her, but good night. Come on, Miss Lane. That's what Superman calls her. Yeah, absolutely. Right there, just it did something to me to fire me up. Anyhow, let's continue on here. It looks like there's some kind of ship or something in the road here. Something going on there.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some might.
A lot of fire.
It's a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
Now we're getting into with this, and this I don't know if I want to deal with this in a Superman movie or not. We've done it in Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, a little bit in Man of Steel, you know, just this distrust of him based on what he's able to do, and then what happened in Dawn of Justice. But the idea of him stopping war and his callousness about it here is interesting. It gives me pause because he's really taking this personally, this whole conversation here. So I have some interest in what may or may not be happening here. In fact, I'm actually kind of wondering a few things, but that's neither here nor there because it's a great kind of conundrum. You're Superman. You have the power to do these things. What's going on? And the clip it shows us doesn't look like it's actually a war. It looks more like it's a military regime, going after some civilians, something like that. But obviously, we're in a situation where Superman is not on the good side of the law. The street that's behind him here in this clip where I got paused is Wade Street. Obviously, that's a shout out to Mark Wade. But let's continue.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're going to be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States
representing
will cause
anybody
more
except for me
problems around the world.
and doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die.
All right, let me just stop right there and tell you what an intense conversation. The music as it builds, like it is building in that John Williams march is building behind it. There's the drums, but there's also, you start to hear the rest of the orchestra swell up with the dum, 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 and that gets us to this point where he gets knocked down into the ground. And I'm going to come back to this in a second as we get to the end of the trailer. But what a cool kind of music, and what an intense way to kind of start this trailer. What an intense kind of conundrum we find ourselves in with Superman, because we're in that conversation that we like to have about Superman, where the idea is he good? Is he bad? Should he be using his powers to do this kind of thing? What is his responsibility? So Matt Lane, hey, listen, I'm with you, Matt. You can't let another trailer build my hopes up too high again. I'm gonna come back and knock those hopes down on a peg. Right now, I'm just going to celebrate what I'm enjoying about this thing as I watch it, and it is very loud in my ears. So, anyway, back to this. So here he is. He's been knocked down.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
All right, before we get to soft girl here, can we just talk about, hey buddy, eyes up here? Superman needs to be able to quip. He needs to be able to do. Look, I take you all the way back to Superman 2. General, would you care to step outside? I think, hey buddy, eyes up here, just because it's in the trailer and everything, I think that's going to be the new General, would you care to step outside? Superman needs to be able to quip, because Superman needs to have the confidence to be able to have the fight. Now, we saw the big war suit or robot or whatever it is fighting. I told Derek the other day or yesterday I said, that looks familiar to me. I think everyone's thinking it's Luthor's war suit. I don't know. I'm not willing to go there, because there's something, it's evoking something else in my mind, and I can't think of what it is. I may be thinking of like a Mandroid for AIM with Marvel, but here's Sawhand Lady.
Your choices.
Get her, Crypto. Listen, Crypto is going to be the star of this show. There's no doubt it.
Your actions. That's what makes you who you are.
Superman. He's not a man. He's an it. He's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation. I will not accept that.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
You have a dog?
All right. So the Superman, hey man, I'm there for it. I am there for it. There's that moment at the end where he flies up, and I think it's happening so fast. If you watch, he's not flying back down, he's falling. And I think that's where he's falling and where he hits the ground later. A lot of things set up in this trailer I think are interesting. Let me tell you what I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, Hawk Girl, or even Metamorpho. But it does look like Metamorpho has some part of Superman being in that cage. If you go back and you pause the scene where he's there and they're beating him up in that glass cage, in the background, Metamorpho's there and there's something green glowing. And I think Metamorpho's whole deal is he can become any like chemical or element or anything. And so I think that, I think that that they may be manipulating Metamorpho to be kryptonite to keep Superman at bay, and then through conversation or whatever else, it looks like Metamorpho will probably be turned around to help Superman out. That's what it seems. Lot of happening, and I tend to agree with Art with Jimmy, aka Jimmy and Georgia, aka Jimmy and Missouri. I think a little too much might be happening, and I think that might be kind of the downfall of this movie. But I'll tell you this: the D-list heroes being there is there to establish that this is a universe with heroes, but it's still a Superman movie. I hope so. I hope that's the case. My overall point is I don't care about them. I do not care. I'm not here for them. These are the characters that are going to have to win me over, even being in the movie. I'm here for Superman. And everything I see out of Superman, what I see out of Lois, I really, really like. I like the big monster. I like whoever it is that he's fighting. I don't think it's Zod and Ursa. Can we get into theories? Because I don't want to give a theory and it end up being a spoiler. I'm very stupid about this movie. I've not followed spoilers for a movie or movie news in ages. But that dude that has the mask on when they're like arresting him in the streets or something has a U that's pretty prominent on his chest of his outfit. And I think that I think that is I think it could be Ultraman. So there it is. I said it out loud and I said it on a podcast. So what Mark says, followed Gunn's patterns. Suicide Squad had that goofy team in the opening. Yeah, but and that's been another one of my concerns about this movie is it's James Gunn. James Gunn did great with Guardians. That makes me feel great. The Suicide Squad movie he did was fine. You know, I'm not a big Suicide Squad guy. I like the fact that he got Starro in there, and I think that's what I like most about James Gunn. It takes a certain amount of courage to do Crypto in live action, and the fact that he's done it is, I'm there for it. Like again, Crypto's going to be the breakout star of this movie. There's no doubt about it. The moment we saw him in that first teaser is all you have to know. So I'm excited about this movie. I'm looking forward to it. And man, that trailer, the music is great. The buildup is great. Hearing Lex Luthor talk a little bit is great. We don't know his motivation. Obviously he hates Superman. That's all we need. I want this franchise to last this time, if for no other reason than to branch out into the Superman world a little bit more. My favorite part of the trailer is, I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you. You can't beat Ma Kent. Cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you. Like it's just this resigned attitude of this woman to, well, here he goes again. Gonna go off and save the day. The room that he's laying in at the end with Crypto on his chest is the room of a kid who grew up in basically a trailer that was converted into a home. And that's what the home is. That's what the farmhouse is in this movie. And a lot of people are bothered by it, but if you grew up rurally in the last, few decades. The days of the white farmhouse with the big red barn out, like that's a different time. That goes back to your 50s and 60s. And by the time so if this Superman's supposed to be 30, 31, 32, 33, maybe 35, you're talking about someone who was a child of the 80s. And that looks like a home that would have been a nice little farmhouse in the 80s. It just does. So it's normal living. And I like it. I like what we're doing. It's the one change from an idyllic kind of thing to what is, to what is now. And it's a little bit of a hard change to swallow for a lot of people I know, but I think it'll be fine. I'm okay with it. He's got parents that look like they've lived hard, not hard like, drinking and drugs and everything, but they're hard working people, salt of the earth folks. So, child of 33, born in 92. Thank you, Cody. You just, 35 years ago, I guess would have been 1990, wouldn't it have? Rrr. Rrr. I want to say this to my good friend, the talented, the powerful Teresa Delgado. I'm over live action Disney movies. If we've got the cartoons and they're wonderful, I don't need them to keep making live action versions of the cartoons. So, that's where I'm at on that thing. So I hope it's fun. Busted Jib says, I hope it's fun. Seems Gunn drew on a lot of stuff with his cancel culture. I don't know fully what that means. Sean, seems like Gunn drew on a lot of his stuff with cancel culture. Maybe that's where I'll take more Lilo and Stitch. Well, yeah, give us more and new adventures. We don't have to have the same. Look, it's just like How to Train Your Dragon. Why are we doing a live action How to Train Your Dragon? I love those movies. Those are great movies. I don't need to see them in live action. They're great the way they are. That's all I'm saying about that, So that's all I'm saying. Anyway, I don't want to get off on that. I'm all for it if that's how it goes. I think that. Well, let's talk about the How to Train Your Dragon movies really quickly. I think those movies are almost perfect. And you've got your silly characters, you got your different dragons, you've got a great score, you've got compelling storytelling, and they're not scared to let characters die. I mean, it's a classic. It's not Disney, but it feels like classic Disney, it's good stuff. And so I don't need a live action version of that. And I'm really at the point where I just want those things to do. Wait a second. Was James Gunn or his brother that did Brightburn, the horror version of Superman? Was that James Gunn? I didn't realize that was a Gunn thing. So anyway, all right. That's Superman, the trailer. Derek and I will probably be breaking that thing down frame by frame ASAP. We almost did a late night recording, which would have been hilarious. But miscommunication mess that up. Matt Lane says, How to Train Your Dragon money grab. Yep. So anyway, what's next on the agenda? Let's see here. Oh yeah. So I need to take another break. That's what I need to do real quick. Just a quick break. Nothing major. Because as I said last week on the show, moving into Fantastic Four season as we are, with Fantastic Four First Steps right around the corner, I am really wanting to kind of walk through some different highlights of the Fantastic Four. Last week we talked about the first issue, number 1, and the introduction of the Fantastic Four, and I just want to kind of keep up that conversation with a couple of other things going on. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, Fantastic Four, and if we got time, we'll open a Star Wars. Stick around.
Are you fed up with those annoying Bigfoot?
This thing was 10 foot tall. He had beautiful hair. I thought he was going to kill my little dog.
Save time and money with Sasquatch Stick. The Sasquatch Stick is a revolutionary device that rids your property of those problem Bigfoot.
I come out here and rough talk him and run him off.
Our product's been successfully used by tens of thousands of people and been positively reviewed on nationwide news programs.
So I go up here, this stick, he was standing right there, and I said, get away from here. Get.
If you're not 100% satisfied, you'll get your money back guaranteed. Works on most mythic beasts, real or imagined.
And he went right back out that path again.
Others may cost you $100, but for 4 easy payments of $19.95, the Sasquatch Stick can be yours. Limited time offer, not available in stores. Are you...
Geek Out Loud!
It is Geek Out Loud. Sing along if you know the words. So glad to have you along with us. Here's the issue. I'm just gonna, as we're wont to do here often, I'm gonna pull the curtain back on the way things do here. If I could go and play the song that was sent to us by Fred Walsh at Flavon on X, and I could play that from the link that he sent me. The problem is, well, maybe if I hold one moment, please. What happens is with the StreamYard, which is the program I'm using to stream, if you play music from outside, and it probably has something to do with the way I have the audio hooked up and everything too. If I play music or something from a different program on my computer, it comes across the YouTube recording and everything really wonky. But with Mixler, it doesn't do that. So people are listening live on Mixler, hear everything just fine. Maui Mark says she can almost hear Pat Benatar singing this. So that's one of them things. But maybe if I share this tab, the link here on the screen that Flavon at Flavon on Twitter sent, then we can do that. Let's see here. Let's try it out. Add to stage. Oh, nope. Remove. Add to stage. There we go. All right. Let's try it. Let's see how it sounds. Let's see if everyone can hear it. Let me know in the on the YouTube chat side of it.
From a galaxy of fandoms far and wide comes a hero with a mic and geeky pride. Movies, comics, games, and toys, shouting loud but geeky noise. He's a voice that fans all trust, talking Star Wars, Hulk, and Optimus. In a world that's full of doubt, one man dares to geek out. Steve, geek out loud! Yeah, he's bringing the power. Steve, pop culture champion, this is his hour. With a laugh and a cheer, he's leading the crowd. It's time to geek out loud. He's got soul. Spinning nerd, go from console to scroll. From the 80s to the brand new day, he'll geek up the Glosson way. G-O-L, geek out loud. G-O-L, geek out loud. cocky and proud, making fanboys and fangirls shout loud. So grab your lightsaber cape and the crowd. It's time to geek out loud. Yeah, it's bringing the cloud. Wait.
I don't know why it ended with wait, but there it is. That was sent to us by Fred Walsh. Fred Walsh. Oh, Flavon. And it will be Flavon. And it will be a good man. On X. So give him a shout. Tell him you like the show. Big honking karaoke. I wish we could do big honking karaoke anymore, but we can't really do that. So rock on, AI Geek Out Loud. Yeah, it's funny because sometimes it will say things that aren't in the lyrics, and it will say them weird. So anyway, look, I am looking forward to the Superman movie, as we talked about, but I'm also cautiously looking forward to Fantastic Four First Steps. The MCU has really stumbled along since the end of Endgame. I think had it not been for Disney Plus and the various series and everything, I almost think that it would have been wise to stop with Endgame and maybe do Spider-Man Far From Home as kind of the cap to all of it, and then take 2 years before you come back with the Marvel Studios stuff. In the meantime, it's an evergreen property. You can do marketing and merchandising and all sorts of things along throughout, and then come back with your best foot forward cinematically. I know that there are things seemingly beyond the control of the writers and the planners behind the MCU. And of course, I'm talking about the stuff with Jonathan Majors, I believe. Is that his name? Kang. I don't understand why they just didn't recast, but again, that's neither here nor there. But I think that what you're going to see is maybe a little bit more, some cautious steps. I know that, listen, it's almost petty what they did. They released the Ironheart trailer for like the Disney Plus series Ironheart on the same day that the Superman trailer came out. I don't know which one got more views. I don't care. I know which one was better. And then I saw where someone was talking about the legacy of this character, Riri Williams, in Ironheart. And I'm going to shut up. But I'm going to say this: she has no legacy. And it's not because she's a bad character or blah, 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 yakety schmackety, blah, blah. It's because she's a character that hasn't been around long enough to have a legacy. Flatman has more legacy than she does. The Great Lakes Avengers have more of a legacy than Riri Williams does. And Speedball has more of a legacy than Riri Williams does. She hasn't been around enough to have what you would call a legacy. So anyway, you got the Fantastic Four coming now. There was a great post-credit sequence at the end of Thunderbolts, asterisk, and there was a dimensional tear or something, an interdimensional alert or something goes on. But anyway, it's a Fantastic Four rocket, and that's pretty cool. That is the thing is, I'm looking forward to Fantastic Four because I've been a fan of the Fantastic Four. We went over it last week since I was a kid. And so last week we talked about that first issue where they're the way they're introduced, the Mole Man and the fighting of the monsters. Dr. Doom has become the villain of all villains, in the Marvel universe. And it began back in Fantastic Four issue number 5. Here is the let's do this real quick. Here is just a page from the Marvel Comics Unlimited app. And what you'll notice is in this particular thing, number one, Dr. Doom is riding a helicopter, ladies and gentlemen. He's flying a helicopter with a shark face on the front. That's pretty cool. He has netted the whole Baxter building. This is an introduction, but then you find out that Reed kind of knew this guy, and you get into the whole that he was into mysticism and everything else, and he tried to blend mysticism and science, and that caused a big explosion that messed his face up. And then he went and trained with some monks and that sort of thing. All of this in about 6 panels worth of comic book storytelling. This is how comics were told in this era. Dr. Doom went on to the very next issue of the Fantastic Four, where he teamed up with the Submariner, and they tried to take down the Fantastic Four. There were all kinds of times where Dr. Doom would pop up. Dr. Doom would pop up and have some battles and everything. Like there were times where he thought he was dead, but then he'd come back and that sort of thing. Much like the annual number 2. This is Fantastic Four annual 2. And in this particular annual, we get a retelling, and a big retelling, of Dr. Doom's origins. We're told about where he grew up, the people he grew up with, what happened to his mother, and his whole deal now. Dr. Doom's whole deal is that he is looking for his mother in the realm of the dead. And that's his whole pursuit of mysticism. And that was what his whole thing was about, was he was trying to do an experiment to bust through the dimensional barriers to basically, hell. Which is a nice thought to think my mother's in hell. And he's fought with Mephisto over this, and he's done all kinds of things to try to rescue his mother and bring her back from the dead. But this kind of tells that, but then it also tells his enmity, and there's a whole adventure with him once again fighting the Fantastic Four, trying to take them down. And there's a neat thing that happens I think it's this issue, at the end of this issue, where Reed says, we got to let him go. He hasn't really broken any laws, and he, as a monarch, he has diplomatic immunity on the American soil. So diplomatic immunity, that's what Dr. Doom has. And so what's his mother's name? Martha. Why did you say that name? How do you know that name? Martha Doom. So you've got this character that is a blend of like the atomic age science fiction stuff, but also, the horror side of things in those days, of the master of the mystic arts, which that's Doctor Strange, I know, but which, by the way, Doom is the Sorcerer Supreme nowadays in the comics. But I digress. But he would persist, and we're not going to cover all of his appearances, but he would persist to be a thorn in the side of the Fantastic Four over and over and over and over again. And he became such a fleshed out and well-rounded character and villain that by the time John Byrne is writing, I think it's John Byrne that actually gives Dr. Doom his very own issue. And it's Fantastic Four number 258. And in Fantastic Four number 258, you can see this cover here where the hand of Doom is ripping the cover down, and you can see what's behind it a little bit. When you open it up, that's the splash page. You can match up the parts that are ripped away, that you can see because the cover's ripped away, with the splash page. It's almost as if Doom has taken over this book, and he has, because in this particular book, there is no Fantastic Four appearance at all. This whole book is Dr. Doom and his servant Boris. You meet Kristoff, who's a little child in Dr. Doom's court, and he comes to play later on, and comes into play, I should say. And it's really all about Dr. Doom now trying to get Dr. Doom's quest was always for power. He's always looking for more and more and more power. And in this case, he has found one of the Galactus's former heralds, Terrax the Tamer. And Terrax doesn't have power, but he basically gives him power back to be Terrax, the power cosmic. And Terrax goes on a tear. And so in issue 259, Terrax is going after the Fantastic Four, who does not have Reed Richards with them at this time. And there's a whole big battle. And when it's all said and done, in issue 260, Dr. Doom dies. he gets evaporated. He disintegrated, if you will. And it's just crazy. Like, all of this leads up to the death of Victor Von Doom. And so you're really like, my gosh, Doom has died. And what's interesting is they go right from that into their next adventure. Like, eventually you get on the quest to find Reed Richards and everything. That is all happening in 1983. In 1984, Marvel launches the best crossover event of all time, Secret Wars, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. This is the cover of issue number 10. You can see that Doom is there. He's beat up. The Beyonder is who they've called this all-powerful being, has brought all the heroes to this one planet that he's mishmashed together from other planets called Battle World. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't the 2015 stuff. This is Marvel Superhero Secret Wars of 1984. This whole series was made to sell toys and to basically rival what Kenner was doing with superpowers. So Secret Wars takes place on this other planet. It's heroes, it's villains, and the winning side gets their wildest dreams. Well, again, all Dr. Doom is concerned about is power. That is his MO. If you want to know what Dr. Doom wants out of life, say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. He wants power. That's all he cares about. That's all he wants. And so, in Secret Wars, you have Claw. Now, we know Claw. If you only know the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you only know Andy Serkis's Claw. In the comics, Claw was converted to living sound. And Dr. Doom takes this being who's just living sound, and he slices him up and makes lenses out of his body that he puts together to absorb. If I'm remembering correctly, and I should have double checked this, I want to say he's absorbing Galactus's power, because Galactus is there. And in doing so, he does that in an effort to go and take on the Beyonder, to take the Beyonder's power. Spoiler alert, at the end of issue 10, he shows up and he's got the power of the Beyonder. And so now the heroes have a whole new battle to fight. And so we see him take off his mask, and he's got a pretty little face. You know, his face that was once scarred and deformed is now just fine. And so he has to be defeated then, and he is, it's all said and done when it's all said and done. But what's really, and so I don't want to go into redneck storytelling, but what happens after that is you have a whole situation where now Doom's back, and he's back because the Beyonder brought him from a different point in time to have him there. We'll talk about Kristoff and who he is and how he comes into play in this whole thing. And there begins to be this whole war between Dr. Doom and Dr. Doom for the control of Latveria and everything. And it all culminates in issue 350, but we will talk about that between now and then, because it's some of my favorite stuff. But then the point is this, is Dr. Doom is this character, and his whole thing, you can never trust him. His whole thing is power. Now, Mark all says this is probably controversial, but whatever. I enjoyed the infamous Iron Man run, but Bendis had a hand in it, and I really enjoy his stuff. I did not read any of the infamous Iron Man stuff. This is when Doom was Iron Man, and it wasn't even Dark Reign, was it? I don't know. I want to go back and check that out. Doom's thing is always power. It's no matter what his motivation for power is, it's always about power. He feels like no one should have power. No one is worthy to have power but Doom. And so with that in mind, you got to know, we went through years of Dr. Doom almost got overused sometimes. And after the Heroes Return stuff, you in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, it all got relaunched. There was some weird stuff that happened with, like, Reed and Sue had another kid, and Dr. Doom was somehow involved, and all this other stuff that goes on. And really, it's not that Dr. Doom needed a revamp, but we needed to be reminded as readers just what this man was capable of. So it is in Fantastic Four. I can't see enough. These old eyes can't see what issue that is. In Fantastic Four in the early 2000s, in issue number, I'm about to pull it up here on my screen too, so I can make it out. I'm sorry, Mama. I didn't mean to stall you. Here we go. Fantastic Four, issue number 97, 67. This is the story. This is the prologue to a story arc called Unthinkable. In this story, and I want to encourage you, if you're a comic reader, if you've got the Marvel Unlimited app, Mark Waid wrote it. It's good writing. Read this book. The Fantastic Four do not show up in this issue of the Fantastic Four. It's all Doom all the time. And he is in America, and he is speaking to various psychics and fortune tellers and all these different people. And he's identifying the frauds, and he's getting mad, and he's walking out, all because he's looking for the girl he loved when he was a young man. He is dressed in a way we've never seen him dressed before. He's got on just a smooth kind of almost theater mask, hair fixed, suit and tie, and he's looking for his long lost love. And you really think, okay, we're getting another facet of Doom's personality. They're going to make him sympathetic and everything. And I really was like, oh my gosh, are we now going to... Doom has enough of a sympathetic background that he didn't need an extra layer of that. Friends, I want to tell you something. He found the love of his life. And what happens next, there's a reason this arc is called Unthinkable. It is pure Doom. And they made Dr. Doom scary again. Dr. Doom in this arc leans more into his mysticism than his science. And it is a frightening thing. And obviously it's something that the Fantastic Four is ill-equipped to deal with. But it's a great little story arc. I would encourage you, check it out and read all about Dr. Doom. Now, this has been mentioned a couple of times, and so I'm going to now pull this up just really quickly. Doom 2099. Look at that costume, the blues and the silvers. Look, I know there's no one who is in the toy making industry who's listening to this at all. We need a Doom 2099, and we need this version from the early Doom 2099. We need the blue hood, the blue cape, the blue accoutrements, and the chrome silver all over them. And if I have to get it, if they were to do a Doom 2099 and just did the swirly metal stuff that they do sometimes. By the way, here's some toy talk for everybody. They'll sometimes, instead of the idea of making something chrome, let me pull something out here. Let me, just so you can see to what I'm referring. This is a vintage C-3PO action figure. This is has a copyright on it of 82. So this is a late run C-3PO. Is this the removable limbs? Yeah, this is the removable limbs C-3PO, coming soon to a mediocre action figure photography episode near you. But you see how he's shiny? The shininess is called vac metal. And what they would do is with C-3PO and then the Death Star droid primarily, there's some kind of process by which you can have a chemical and everything, and you dip these things in with it, and you're basically plating these things with this chrome and this metal. It's called vac metal. Chips off, it falls apart. I'll be honest with you, the R2-D2s that have some vac metal on them hasn't really held up very well, but my 3POs by and large did. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. They don't do that process anymore because it's expensive and it chips off. And so what Marvel Legends has taken to doing is either just kind of doing a gray type thing for the metal, or they'll have like a swirl in the plastic, like a swirly kind of thing that gives it kind of a metallic. It's supposed to be like a metallic look, and it's fine. It absolutely serves its purpose. But I would tell you there's these chrome paint pens that a lot of people use to kind of modify various figures that need to have a metallic look to them. And I'm here to tell you, I would absolutely do that. Couldn't stand most 2099 stuff when it came out. It grew on me a decade later. I'll tell you about the 2099 stuff. I was interested in it. I didn't care for any of it except for the Doom. The Doom stuff was really cool to me, particularly the first story arc, because we're introduced to a man out of time who was used to being at the pinnacle and the forefront of all technology, and he meets someone who absolutely overpowers him because you can't compete with 2099 stuff. So that's where you're at on the Doctor Doom 2099 stuff. And then of course, because he's Doom, he figures everything out, he gets what he needs, and he's done. Mark All says those chrome pens are really good. Let them dry for about a week before touching whatever you paint with the chrome pen. Thank you for that. I would have just gone right on and had them. So thank you for that information. After that, just like anything, a lot of times I feel like writers will have a great story arc to kind of start with in mind. And then, after that, it's like, where do we go from here? Doom 2099, as I recall, was kind of like, hadn't read in a while, but I remember liking those first few issues as Doom found himself and found his power and everything, and really interesting stuff. The thing is, Dr. Doom is one of the greatest comic book villains of all time, if not the greatest. He is, in my estimation, the walking dog of bad guys in comics and Marvel comics. There's a reason that he stood the test of time, and there's a reason that in every Fantastic Four movie that's been made to this point, he's been the villain they go to. And I'm looking forward to what they do with him in this universe. The Tony Stark being Dr. Doom stuff, Robert Downey Jr., I should say, I'm not really sure about. Obviously, it's different universe stuff and that sort of thing. So we'll see. That's a wait and see kind of deal for me. There are things that are happening in this movie that I'm not particularly fond of. But as I said when the trailer came out, look, they got Galactus right. He looks, there's so much about this, and I'm willing to give some goodwill to, that we'll see. It very much is we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, Fantastic Four. I love it. Next week we'll touch on some other story arcs and stuff with the Fantastic Four. We'll probably get into the coming of Galactus, because that is the big daddy. That I think a lot of people think that is the story, but though there's a lot that comes out of that informs the rest of the Marvel universe forever. There's a lot that happens along the way in the Fantastic Four that are both entertaining, it's engaging. There are only a few seasons, and by seasons I mean like eras in there, that are kind of low points for me. By and large, I've never read let's see, I will say this, from about issue 297 to 300, 301-ish, kind of rough. The stuff from like 305 to 310, when the thing mutates, is kind of finding your footing with a new team of Fantastic Four. When the thing mutates, he and Miss Marvel, and she becomes a thing. The story arc that follows that with the whole Secret Wars 3 stuff is one of my favorite arcs in all of superhero storytelling, and then it gets capped off with Thing versus Hulk and She-Hulk versus Miss Marvel. And then we have Inferno crossovers. And then you have the whole Frightful Four attacking with Reed and Sue returning. And then the Rogue Watcher kidnaps them all. And you've got issues that are just dreams that are really intriguing and engaging. And you just wonder, how are they going to get out of this? When they finally do, now we're off to the Acts of Vengeance. And then after that, it's this incredible time thing. So that's right in my wheelhouse in that late 80s, early 90s area. So, so yeah, I'm home from work now. Can you start the show over, please? Absolutely. Here we go. Just kidding. So yeah, that's the Fantastic Four, and we'll get into some of that stuff as we move along and approach. Just hey, just slide that red bar at the bottom all the way to the left. Yeah, you'll get at least 3 starts and stops, Commander Bly. You'll get that. Love me some Acts of Vengeance. We should break down the Acts of Vengeance sometimes. What did I miss? Nothing. Nothing's happening. Nothing's going on. Teresa Delgado was here. She tried to start a revolution, tried to start a revolt with DVT, and take over the chat. But that's fine. That's fine. It is what it is. Didn't Doom set up the second Marvel Lego game to go against Galactus? I don't know. I step up and say, I don't know. I've not played either of the Marvel Lego games, and I love Lego games. I'd love to check those out. So, because I do enjoy the games, but I don't even know that I have a platform that can play those on anymore. So I'll find out sometime. You did miss Southern Fried Star Wars. Should we do Southern Fried recaps of movies like the Fellowship of the Rings and the Lord of the Rings? I mean, we still got Empire to do at some point. Should that be a thing? Let me know in the comments down below. Speaking of letting me know in the comments, ladies and gentlemen, I can't encourage you enough to like, to subscribe, to share, to do all those things here, because we need your subscriptions. We have really upped subscriptions. We are at 378 on YouTube. We're at like 15 on Rumble, and that seems like this really weird disproportionate thing. But understand, over on Rumble, we're the only kind of thing like this on Rumble. There's not a lot of, most of the geeky talk on Rumble gets into the politics and everything. So if you're on Rumble, make sure you like the show and subscribe and do all that stuff too as well over on Rumble. Follow us there on Rumble. We appreciate you doing so, and would love to have your help as we try to build an audience on these platforms. Also, I want to encourage you, if you want to get into, well, we'll do that later. There's some of you want to get into podcasting, want to know the best way. I'm going to let you in on some stuff down the road, because we all remember the great hard drive crash of like 2017 or whenever it was. There's been more than that. There was the GoDaddy crash, and then there was my own personal hard drive crash of a couple of years back. But regardless, there's I want to share with you guys where we're at now on some of that stuff down the road, and if you want to get into it, we'll get into it. So comment below. Let us hear from you. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I think we have a little bit of time. There will be an after party on Mixler, I'm sure. But we're going to open a Star Wars. That's what we're going to do here. This is from Star Wars. This is a vintage collection. Rebel Soldier Echo Base Battle Gear. What a weird name he has. Look at it. Look at that picture he's like giving you I'm a model vibes right there. He's giving me I'm modeling the new Gap gear for winter vibes. Look at that face. Look at how he's just kind of looking at you. Like, it's not quite a smolder, but it's very much that side eye is what's getting me there. That's what's getting me there. So anyhow, yeah, who's on the back here? Lobot, Quill, Bib Fortuna, that blue guy, the Mithril, Lando. If you listen, you can still find that Lando in your Walmarts today. Is that that's Bo-Katan Kryze, and then IG-11 there. That's a pretty cool wave. You got Mandalorian and Empire Strikes Back in one, Return of the Jedi guy in Bib Fortuna. Wanawanga to you, sir. So here we go. Gonna just open this bad boy just like so. And it is done. Oh man, I ripped right across Smolder Man's face. Oh man. Now he looks like he's been hanging on a bus ad for too long. Look, that face just hangs in there though, doesn't it? That dude was a model turned rebel soldier. This guy in his day was one of the top models in the galaxy. He probably was from Chandrila, Mon Mothma's planet, where they have models and stuff like that. Maybe he was probably from Gorman and got out prior to the massacre, or his parents were massacred at Gorman, and so as a child, he got away, and the art was always in his blood. So he went to Chandrila, where he was raised by rich people and became a model, but in his heart, he was always going to rebel against the Empire. He was going to use his modeling money and break into the rebellion and get there. So he's got some bendy legs. He's got some. Does he got an ankle pivot at all? He's really locked. He needs some hot water. His joints are pretty locked up and frozen. How you doing? How you doing? My name's Echo Base Gear. Wait, hold on. Hi, I'm a rebel soldier. My name is Echo Base Battle Gear. I'm Echo Base Battle Gear. You might know me from the Chandrilan perfume ads. I'm here to tell you, let us fight against the Empire. In this case, we will fight them in the snow. Thank you. So yeah, his elbow joints are a little locked up here. He's got swivel at the wrist, and he can hold his little gun and everything. He's got a swivel at the elbow too, but oh, there we go. We got it bent. We got that elbow bent there. Just had to finagle it a little bit. This one's kind of locked up over here. I don't want to break his arm, because you may be seeing him in an upcoming edition of Mediocre Action Figure Photography. I don't know. The model from the Rebellion, he's got a smolder. He's got a smolder like no older. So that's opening a Star Wars. If you felt yourself gasping because the Star Wars was open on this show, I'm an opener. I do have some Star Wars over here that I like the look of them. I really did like the look of that, and even the Bespin guards, because they do remind me of the vintage Star Wars action figures. But sometimes you just got to let things go and let them be. It kind of makes me want to just open all the Star Wars. Let me see if there's another. Let me see if there's a Star Wars on my wall I'm willing to open. Oh, there's another Rebel soldier. I wonder if I should open him. I don't know. He's a Hoth Rebel soldier. He's in different battle gear. Hey, maybe that's for next week. If there is a next week, let's not jink it. I keep He-Man up on the wall. Yeah, I like the He-Man as well. We talked about him last week, that imagination spaghetti. You just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. And in the case of He-Man, it all stuck. Well, I want you to know the email is geekoutonline@gmail.com, geekoutonline@gmail.com. Please email us over there if you got some stuff you'd like to see us talk about or hear us talk about. Wait a minute. I don't want to have that to stage. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm getting there. There we go. Whoa now. Easy. Calm down. Emails geekoutonline@gmail.com. Don't forget you can support us if you're in a position to do so at Patreon. Patreon.com/geekoutloud. Hey, I got more media assets this week. I was using some pictures and stuff. Hope you enjoyed that instead of just looking at my mush the whole time. Don't forget standshoes.com, stand shoes, STAND shoes.com/geekout, or not /geekout, standshoes.com, promo code geekout. When you use that promo code at checkout, you'll get 15% off using that promo code. And then of course, patreon.com/geekoutloud if you're in a position to support the show. Patreon won their lawsuit with Apple. And so those of you who used to have to pay a fee to subscribe through the iOS stuff, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So that's great. But I would still encourage you, just use the website. It's fine. It's secure and it's a way to go. So, hey, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you. Twitter or X is @GeekOutLoud. We're on Instagram @RealGeekOutLoud. Coming up on Orthodox Star Wars Day, we hope there will be an episode of the mediocre action figure photography and our tribute to after last year's tribute to Star Wars. And this, hopefully, we're still working on it and still working on what we want to do. I say we because Lethargic Chewy himself has offered up access to his collection to make mediocre action figure photography that much more fun and good and successful. Thanks, everyone, for joining us live at YouTube, live at Rumble, live at Mixler. And for those of you who are in the replay crew, thanks for joining us on the replay. However you joined us, we're glad you did, and we appreciate the time you take to listen, to watch, to like, to subscribe, to review, wherever you review podcasts, all those good things. We appreciate you, and we will see you, ladies and gentlemen, around the Goliverse. Have a good one, everybody.